Hughes Stadium? Because I've heard it's going to cost between $50 to $80 million. Thanks for the time.
Okay, thanks, Wayne. Basically, if the stadium gets stopped, we will concur and we will gather together as SOSH and we will contemplate where we go next. We have a very good vision for what Hughes would look like. Jay, do you want to talk to what your vision for Hughes? This is Dr. Jay Copeland.
Well, if we want to market CSU to the world, basically, instead of using the same strategy that so many other universities are using, we ought to go with our strengths, which is we live in the state with the lowest obesity rates in the United States, the highest physical activity rates. We also live in a community that has the lowest obesity, second lowest obesity rates in the state of Colorado. And these are the concerns that many parents have for their children and for their future health. So what we could do at the university is take advantage of our strengths, build a fitness corridor between the campus and Hughes, make Hughes a destination recreation area. There's a massive area that could be used for a variety of different things. You have access to Horsetooth Reservoir. You can put climbing in, you can put obstacle courses in, you can put a skateboard park in, you can put, make it a destination recreation area where it's used for more than just 7 days a year, and take advantage of that space and connect with the community in a very vital way through using that space and having student ambassadors who can teach these kinds of recreational activities to high school and junior high school students and be rewarded for that with something off of their tuition, some work study money or whatever, and make CSU the fittest campus in the United States and challenge anyone in the country to become more fit than us. And right now, with the emphasis on health, with the emphasis on healthcare costs, if there isn't a parent in this country who would see that, who wouldn't see that as an attractive place for their child to go, I'd like to talk with them. So, and not just this country, other countries as well, where they wonder about this crazy football stuff. Anyway, but so we could create an image for the university that would have cultural residents throughout the entire country and probably generate more student applications than a football team ranked 88.
I'm Bob Kuhlman. Is there any other university in America that has a football stadium that was built with 100% private money? Anybody hear the question?
The question is there any other college football stadium in the United States that was built 100% with private money? Is there any other besides Hughes? What? I think you're referring to Hughes, right?
Well, Hughes wasn't built private.
Huh?
Hughes Stadium wasn't built.
So which stadium you said, when you said any other stadium?
Is there any in the United? We're talking about a stadium that they're proposing to do with private money, $350 million.
No. No, that's not the plan as I
Well,
understand.
that was what they thrown out.
Originally, there was going to be all private money to build a stadium that was going to cost $100 million. That stadium expanded.
I just want to know, is there any stadium?
I don't know of any offhand, actually. There are examples that are probably not what you're thinking about. For instance, the school that's close to Smith College, that's 7 miles away from me, is University of Massachusetts in Amherst. University of Massachusetts in Amherst plays its games now in Gillette Stadium in Foxborough. It's 2 hours away from the campus. And Foxborough was built by the Crafts with private money. So I'm not sure that's exactly what you had in mind, but Jay has an example. Oh, Nike in Oregon, yeah. Phil Knight gave Oregon bundles and bundles of money. So there are probably some. I'm not sure where that leads us with this issue.
If anybody's got $300 million, Dan back there will be happy to take it.
My name is Ken. What is the responsibility to an injured player? What is the responsibility of the university and of the taxpayers for those who are injured, particularly those who are permanently injured?
In college sports you're talking about?
Particularly in Colorado.
So the NCAA has a catastrophic insurance policy that covers individuals who are maimed. People who are otherwise injured playing college sports are covered by NCAA insurance through their college eligibility, but not afterwards. The catastrophic injury insurance has limits, and so it wouldn't necessarily provide full coverage for all people who suffer from that.
Any other questions? Hi, Bob Oakbeck, council member here, District 1 in Fort Collins. Got a question here. CSU has been purchasing property just outside the university for $750 million. What would be the community impact or gentrification issues that you may have seen in the past?
I'm not sure that there are analogs to what you're witnessing here, as far as I understand it. The university is purchasing at 3 times market value a bunch of properties that are contiguous to the university because they think they need land going forward, but we don't know what the plan is for that land yet, right? And you're asking whether if there's some kind of gentrification process that happens there, maybe building high-income condos or something like that, what impact it would have on the community. I don't want to speculate on that because I don't know enough about the income distribution, composition of housing, but it's an interesting question.
My name is Gail. I want to know what contingencies there are for the infrastructure that will have to take place in Fort Collins to accommodate the traffic and the supplies, the infrastructure for the new stadiums.
Well, that's a great question. I saw Wade just beating tracks out of this place. Gary, you want to get up and talk to that? Bob?
Bob, I haven't left.
Sure.
Well, that hasn't been determined yet because that is partially determined depending on what the final plan is for the stadium, as well as when it's finally done. The preliminary discussions have been held dealing with basic utility services, which CSU would have to pay for any increases like any other private developer in town. If you have additional electrical needs, additional water needs, whatever it is for infrastructure has to be done. But the big issues obviously deal with the road infrastructure and the transportation infrastructure. Those, because of CSU's unique position, that they have rights in the state constitution, that they don't have to do whatever the impacts are. We have to negotiate those impacts and negotiate the intersection changes, road changes, etc. with those.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Jerry Horak.
Who needs a speaker?
I know.
Thank you for your program. I'm talking real estate. I worked on campus for 20 years. There's not room for that stadium. It is absolutely gigantic. They're going to wipe out the Hork Department, Child Gardens. This is an Aggie university, and I am really outraged that they think so little of it to put something in there. The other thing is, Sunday's paper was saying they're going to have to find another place for students to park. We just can't park these students. Well, when I went to college, I was there full time. Half these kids or more have to go to work. They have to get in their car after attending classes and run to work and come back. Now, we don't have room for students who are here to study to park. Yet we have room for this. I don't know what to say, and it's a family, we don't have room. I'm saying that I would like to put them on notice in addition to the costs. We don't have the room for this thing. What are they thinking?
We agree. Any other questions? Yes,
I'm not gonna try to get up
ma'am.
there.
I'll try to repeat.
What would be the impacts, as you've seen, on women's sports when a large amount of money goes into a stadium?
The question is, if they put a larger amount of money into the stadium, what's the impact on ladies' sports? Is that correct?
Women's sports. So, the stadium itself would probably have no impact, although if women at the school, or women's coaches at the school protested about having inferior training facilities or locker rooms or whatever, that could become a Title IX case. It could be, but directly it wouldn't have any impact. What would have an impact is that if the university spends $300 million or more on a new facility and affiliated buildings, to make that even begin to pay off, they're going to have to invest more in the program itself. There's a saying in baseball that building a new stadium doesn't put fannies in the seats. The only thing that puts fannies in the seats is having a winning team. And it's going to be very similar at the college level. So if you're going to spend $300 million plus building a stadium, it would only make sense, and I wouldn't encourage them to do this at all, because I think it's a very, very long shot, but it would only make sense to also vastly increase your recruiting budget, increase your coaches' salaries, and improve so that you can attract great players, your tutoring facilities, improve your locker rooms, maybe do some PR stuff, put more money into public relations for the football team. All of these other operational items, when you put more money on the men's side, Title IX would require you to have proportional increases on the women's side. So it would raise expenses by more than just the obvious expenses on the football team.
Go Ram volleyball!
To help answer your question, there was a paper that the CSU commissioned to look at Title IX. Some of the problems they have, the average salary for a men's coach, $360,000. The average for ladies, 70. Okay, large disparity, guys. Okay, any other questions?
I'm Diane Sparling. I have a question for you directly. Will you have an opportunity to share your insights with Tony Frank?
I've been wanting to take a bicycle trip to Italy for a long time, so if you guys can send me to Rome this afternoon, I'd be happy to share my insights. I understood using a bicycle trip in Italy, by the way, is that right? Well, do I have an opportunity to do that? I'd be more than happy to talk to him on the phone, or if he's coming to the East Coast, but I'm not going to come to Fort Collins again in the next several months.
And we invited Dr. Frank. He acknowledged that he was going to be out of the country. We have invited Mike Martin, who is the chancellor. He decided not to come. We invited Amy Parsons and Jack Graham and the board of directors and the board of governors. Yes, ma'am.
Can we get the first, did anybody videotape
Yes,
this?
ma'am, it is being videotaped.
Can you get the first part of it, where you're talking specifically about CSU, on YouTube?
Yes, we will have it.
Thank you.
Chester, good to see you back.
I wonder if you might comment about the effect that some observers of collegiate athletics have noticed that these mammoth then athletic departments become the tail that wags the academic dog.
You know, so you all heard that, right? I think it's largely true within FBS. You know, college sports had its first intercollegiate contest back in 1852. Without going into details, the motivation for that contest was a promotion, a self-promotion by the what was it called, the New Haven, Maine, Montreal Railroad. And college sports started to really take off as a promotional vehicle after the Morrill Land Grant First Act was passed in 1860, because all these, the government, the federal government was giving states federal land to create, and subsidies to create land-grant institutions to teach agricultural skills and military preparedness, actually, was in the original bill. But what happened was there was a very rapid expansion in the number of universities in the United States. And back then, not most kids who were 18 thought about going to the university, both because it wasn't part of the general culture and because people didn't have the income to go to the university. So you had a rapid increase in the supply of beds in universities and opportunities for people to go, and very little increase in the demand to go to universities. The supply was greater than the demand. And what colleges basically decided to do was to use intercollegiate competition to promote, to advertise their schools. In that sense, it's since the 1870s, it's been the tail that wags the dog. And certainly, since the 1984 Supreme Court decision that said that the NCAA can't centrally control and limit television broadcasting of college sports, and the Supreme Court threw it back to the conferences and said conferences can do it. What's happened since 1984 is that the conferences have tried to add media markets. And so you've had a bunch of these mergers and acquisition phases, and one that we just went through, there was one in the early 1990s, that have reconfigured the face of college sports and the conferences. And so now we have, of course, it's the case that you have conferences that span almost half the country, and football players and players from other sports traveling 1,500 miles and 2,000 miles to engage in an athletic contest. So I think it's in these senses and in many others, college sports does wag the academy's educational function.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate you coming. Dr. Zimbalist will be up here to talk to the press. We thank you very much and have a great day. Thanks for attending.